Lib posted about, I guess, in response to Kanye West, basically coming down on him again on that second part of the Drink Champs interview. You know what I'm saying? He just, I think it was the backpack line when he was talking about he used the backpack era or whatever, or the backpack rappers or whatever. Anyway, Talib Kweli went out there and posted the ghostwriters or the many ghostwriters of Kanye West, and the one he started out with was Sahai. He said Kanye ghostwriter appreciation post. He ended up posting a whole bunch of people, and I don't know, man. I think that it was a worthy conversation. It's a twofold conversation, right? It's one of those things where I understand that Talib, I guess his feelings are hurt, but and I hate to say it like that, but it is what it is. But Kanye has a grand contribution to the backpackers in that era. I mean, he made just to get by. What he did for Common would be, and I know a lot of people say, well, Common was Common before Kanye, but this Common we know now, and the way he's been able to elevate his career is directly reflected from what the work that he did with Kanye West in that era.
Hey, Mike, Common was Common, but the all-time great rappers talk didn't start happening until after B came out. Not all-time great.
No, legit. And, and even just the way his career has transformed since B, you can see a direct, correlation there. Me as a Common fan, because I always felt like, you ain't listening to Common, you sleeping. But it became one of those things after Kanye West, like, you gonna listen to Common. You know what I'm saying? It became a thing. And we got to give him that for that contribution. His contribution to, Slum Village with Selfish. His contribution to Dilated Peoples with, I Can't Live My Life This Way. I mean, he did a lot of things that he contributed. I'll put it that way. Regardless of what he had to say and however people felt about it, and even if he didn't even like the way that Talib rapped, whether he's being truthful with that or not, he gave him just to get by. And so when I saw this post about the ghostwriters, I started thinking about songs that people are on with people, right? And I immediately thought about Chain Heavy, because Talib is on there. And Consequences on there, who is another person that he cited as one of Kanye's ghostwriters. Kanye smashed both of them on that record. So I'm like, who wrote that verse? And this is before Sahai came around. And I don't really like the whole ghostwriter talk when you've been on records with people and you clearly didn't write their verse, because I don't think Talib's ever written for Kanye. That's one thing. And when they get you on a verse, like, who wrote that verse then? Because Consequence did not write that Chain Heavy verse. You've heard Chain Heavy, right?
Yeah. No, that's yeah. Okay, so Mike, so first of all, when we're even talking about backpacker movement, like for me, I was taught that like Buckshot and like all of them, the boot camp clique and all those guys are the guys that really brought back the backpack movement per se.
Right.
So I think the movement that people are talking about isn't even a backpack movement. It's more like where the neo soul began to meet hip hop type of movement, where the Roots and Erykah Badu and Common and D'Angelo and Bilal and Maxwell and the Fugees are all becoming more prominent names around the same time. Kanye does have a contribution in that movement, and a valid and a productive one. And it's like I said, well, when he's saying that, he's really saying, like, I'm using them the way they use me. Exactly. Like, nobody thought he was going to be this. And it's like, you kind of have to eat the food. And it's really just, it comes off, I mean, for me, it just comes off as a little bit of sour grapes, because it's like, no, look what this producer who used to make beats for y'all became.
But see, the thing is, Talib is saying all of this, but he's the same person that would go on podcasts or whatever and tell these stories about, yeah, I didn't like his raps, I just wanted his beats. So now you're mad that he didn't like your raps? I mean, how do you think that made Kanye feel when he was saying that, you didn't like his raps? Well, guess what? I didn't like your raps either. Now you mad? You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Mike, this is what I'm saying about, like, how when Ye be saying stuff, like, wasn't none of these dudes running Ye around trying to get him signed?
Exactly.
Right. So like he know what time it is. He remembers. He hadn't forgotten that, and really, he really does in these moments. So he reminds you of it too. He just reminds you in a way that makes you feel a certain type of way, like you got played. Well, maybe you did.
Yeah.
And maybe you played yourself, because this is what I'm saying. This is like, oh, well, anybody that heard the college dropout that wasn't trying to go run him around and get signed didn't, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I
you know
think,
what you was talking about.
and also I think attempting to discredit Kanye's pen game's not even the wave, man. It's like, when do we really start caring about producers writing their own stuff? Because at
That's
the
why I
end of
think
the
you
day,
might,
Kanye's a producer, right? If you want to discredit his production, okay, that might hurt a little bit more or might sting a little bit more with the fans. But as fans, we don't really care about most producers and their pen game.
no,
We
Mike.
never cared about who wrote stuff for Dre.
Mike, I think the even bigger question is if you want to make that sentiment, well, how many tracks has Ye produced for people where Ye helped them with the track or with the hook or with the pen game? Because he's one of the
Bruh,
people nice enough to do that.
listen, I
Stop
was
that.
just looking at a clip from
Stop that.
Fade to Black. And I'm sorry, I know Jay wrote his own stuff, but the memorable parts of Lucifer, that
Yeah.
comes from Kanye. He's in the
And I gotta,
studio, I gotta get my soul right. He's
yeah,
doing this whole thing. So
yeah.
he's not gonna get credit for that, huh?
Right. That's
But
what I'm saying. So it's like when you pulling up all those writing credits and stuff, it's like, man, don't make Ye go into his bag and pull up like 50 songs where he contributed stuff that we didn't even like
no, he
even
didn't. Right.
right.
Because I
Right.
felt like
I'm
that even
sorry.
when you remember when Cameron did that thing against Jay-Z, right? Where he was like, I'm not a writer, I'm a biter, all that stuff, right? And he was
Right.
going through all the lines that Jay reworked and all that. And I'm like, well, okay, let's do a video of song of how many people have taken Jay lines.
Right.
Because that could be a whole thing too. And yeah, we got to be fair about it. If you want to talk about people who've helped Kanye with lines, you've been behind the scenes, that Kanye's helped a lot of people with lines. And you want to leave that part of it out. And I think,
I mean, Mike. I mean, for almost all of these great producers, when they're sitting behind the boards, they're getting inspired by these guys rhyming over their tracks. They have thoughts. They have feedback. They have ideas about how it should be delivered. They made the beat, for God's sake. That's why when you're seeing Kanye doing what he's doing on Lucifer, well, he made the beat. So he's already created a vibe and a mode in his mind. He's trying to transfer it to Jay. Jay is one of those guys that's empathic enough that he can give it to him, and Jay can go in there and pull it off like a great actor can, you know?
yeah,
And so, but producers do that. It's like, I remember Pharrell was talking about he gave Busta some bars for Pass the Cavassier.
yeah,
We think any less of Busta because he took some bars from Pharrell for Pass the Cavassier?
that's a producer's job.
Producer's job.
If we're gonna sit here and they're in the chat talking about Common's B album, let's look at the corners. Listen to that hook. Who's that sound like?
That's Ye.
Yeah. Listen to the hook for the food. Who is that?
That's Ye.
Come on now.
That's clearly Ye on the food.
Yeah, it is. So
Clearly.
if we want to give credit, we got to give credit where credit's due. And he's a producer first, regardless if he was rapping before that, but he made his bones in this game as a producer. So if he does get some writers at some point, who cares? I think the most personal stuff, we're not going to sit here and say somebody else wrote Hey Mama for him or Through the Wire for him.
Or Roses.
And my other thing before we get off this topic, when people start bringing out ghostwriters.
Who wrote Gold Digger, Mike? Who wrote Jesus Walks?
Exactly. He even did the second verse of Gold Digger at the, what was that, Def Poetry Jam or whatever? When Mos Def introduced him as the future of hip hop.
No, you're right.
No. So, let's not sit here and act like he didn't write anything. He's a producer first. But see, my biggest problem when people start pulling... Go ahead.
He wrote most of his big stuff his damn self.
Exactly. My problem when people start pulling out these ghostwriters, it's not like he's pulling out Jay-Z as a ghostwriter or something. Like, most of the ghostwriters that he pulled out, I'm like, okay, well... show me material from them that matches this stuff you're talking about they wrote for, Kanye. Respectfully.
So this is what I mean. Okay, so this is what I mean when it's like, okay, so when Talib says that, I think about all the hits that Ye has written that, like, crush all of Talib's best stuff. Like Mike, I said, Gold Digger and Jesus Walks is bigger than anything Talib's ever done. Both of them.
Well, they say Rhymefest wrote Jesus Walks, but see, again, when you talk about writing, and talk about somebody wrote something, it's a slippery slope. They could have given you an idea. They could have said, you know what, this bar would be cool. They could have told you to change something or whatever.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that. And I think people take it as, okay, Rhymefest was like, boom, boom, boom. Here's Jesus Walks. Go in there and record it. I'm pretty sure that's not how it went. Because when you listen to Kanye's raps, it sounds like how he talks.
Right. Mike, that's why we love the college dropout so much. It sounds like how he talks. All falls down. That sounds like Ye.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Gold Digger sounds like Ye. Mike Roses sounds like Ye. Mike Diamonds from Sierra Leone, that sounds like Ye. Mike, crack music, that sounds like Ye.
And either he's a great actor and starts living the stuff that's in the rhymes that other people wrote for him, or
Right.
he really wrote this stuff. Because
Right.
he lives it.
Say, Mike? Heard him say, no, that sounds like Ye. Big Brother, no, that sounds like Ye. Flashing Lights, that sounds like Ye.